Welcome Capricorn to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 22nd of July for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. As last week came to a close, there was the second successive full moon in your sign, which was really asking you to think about relationship matters. But relationships don't have to be in a romantic context. We have one with ourselves, that's the primary relationship, but it can be with colleagues, can be to do with friends and of course family members. But if something has felt a little out of kilter, it may be because there hasn't been enough passion in the mix for your taste, and that's because of the combination of Mars and Uranus, which evoked that desire in the first half of last week. But as last week came to a close, so did Mars move into a much more practical location. Actually forges a very solid link to Pluto, the planet of transformation. If there is something you want to shift around managing your resources more carefully, this can be a key week, particularly to do with long-term investments, shares, property matters, anything to do with savings, pensions, inheritances, stuff like that. And that's because the Sun's going to be moving into house 8, which governs these things, but also you have Venus and Mercury in this area too. But just as that full moon manifested, Neptune, which was a mischief maker on the first full moon in your sign a month ago, has actually applied a lot of magic. And as you come into this week, the Sun in Cancer on its last degree forges a wonderful arc to Neptune, and you could have a discussion which actually does find a real connection with someone in a very positive way. But if that connection isn't forthcoming, and the electric energy of that connection between Mars and Uranus was just a fleeting, perhaps fling, then perhaps you'll be philosophical about moving on. But if you did reach that connection, or you managed to have the dialogue to work things out, the Sun moving into Leo could see you get closer and more invested. But to be honest, absolutely the opposite can be true too. And that's because the Sun on Tuesday goes directly opposite Pluto. And if you feel there isn't the scope to get deeper and closer, then it is going to be very obvious to you. So it could be a break point that if a relationship has really been struggling, however much the connection in a romantic sense has been really good. Perhaps the issue is more to do with values or beliefs that are not quite aligned. I actually feel that the very old-fashioned way of approaching relationships still holds true. If we have value systems that align, that can really help when things get a little tense between two people. But whatever your situation, there is transformation in the air, particularly to break free of something that has felt rather possessive or controlling, and that's Uranus applying to Mercury through to the middle of the week. But then Mercury moves into the part of your scope to do with liberty, freedom and exploration. If you do want to break away from all the drama that's been going on, that's a great opportunity to book that trip, get away with a friend, do something much more spontaneous. You may even think about booking a vacation or a course of higher education with Mercury's help. But then we have Chiron. The so-called wounded healer is very tender in your 4th house. If there has been some challenges in the family dimension since 2019, it may be because of Chiron. Of course, it depends on where Chiron is in your natal chart, but in terms of collectively, Chiron retrograding through to the 29th of December suggests if you don't feel heard within your family unit or seen or recognised, that could be something that can make you feel particularly tender. But what you can also do is try to work on your inner wound. But remember, your ability to be a listener, caring and supportive can be emphasised by Chiron's retrograde. Now, as the week draws to a close, the moon is in a very positive location for you, very affectionate, very warm and potentially playful. But it, like Uranus before it, clashing with Mercury, clashes with the Sun across the same houses. So we've got the 5th, 8th house square. And that does suggest again, if possessiveness or control has been part of that relationship scenario that you've been battling with over the next month, that may be something you really want to find a solution to. And as I mentioned, with Mercury having moved into your sector of freedom, if something has just got too bogged down, too entrenched and too heavy, it may be a decision you make by the end of this week to at least have some time to yourself. But if you want to use the energy in Leo in a more practical way, its superpowered link to Mars suggests you can have a lot of energy if you're wanting to work on investments or business or entrepreneurial ideas, and it can be very much a case of full steam ahead. It's been great being with you, but if you would like to have a one-to-one with me, a personal consultation, please check out my testimonials below. I don't edit these, I share them as is. Discover what other people have found working with me. If you would like to become a patron from $3 a month, I upload a lot of extra information. If you are already a Patreon, thank you so much for all your support. And if you would like to ascend beyond this zodiac forecast and embrace the power of more serious astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place, or date and place if you don't know your time, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you searing insights to the patterns that are played out in your life so far, but a much more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies future forwards. In my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12 months transits. That's the moving planets in the sky interacting with your totally unique blueprint. Also, if you know your tropical astrology, but you'd like to discover your draconic astrology based on your soul, your karmic charts, please see below for that too. The same package can be very, very different to your natal chart, but very much an eye-opener. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.